Every month in my Arrangers Academy program, we meet for these live Q&A masterclasses where I get to answer all of my students' arranging and guitar-related questions. In our most recent masterclass, one of my students had a great question about how to determine what chords will sound good with a given melody, which kicked off an awesome discussion about reharmonization and what a powerful creative tool that can be for us in our guitar arrangements or compositions. Basically, reharmonization gives you the ability to turn this into this. When you reharmonize a chord progression, you're replacing chords within that progression with other chords that share a common note. So as arrangers, reharmonization gives us the opportunity to put a creative twist on and breathe new life into basic melodies with boring chord progressions that we've all heard a million times, like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And you've heard me talk about the importance of using variation in our arrangements, taking our audience on this emotional journey by presenting a musical theme that they know and love in one way, and then transforming it into something completely different over the course of your arrangement. Reharmonization is another tool that we can use to add that variety to our arrangements. It's a really cool effect to hear that same recognizable melody over top of a completely different chord progression. Now, I want you to look at me right here, right in the eyes, lock it in, okay? Do not click out of this video if you're thinking that reharmonization sounds too advanced for you or it's too complicated. No, you can do this. All you need to know is how to build chords. It's that simple. Then reharmonization is gonna be super easy for you, and it's gonna open up this whole new world of creativity for you in your arrangements. So today, I'm showing you how to use this chord building knowledge to reharmonize and completely transform a basic chord progression into something new and exciting. But if you don't already know how to build chords, then I have a free training that teaches just that, how to build any chord you need anywhere across the fretboard. It's called Fretboard Freedom, and it breaks down the music theory needed to build chords into small, simple steps, and it makes the process super easy for you. And if you want to make your own fingerstyle guitar arrangements, reharmonization or not, you need to know how to build chords anywhere across the fretboard. Again, the training's completely free. It's my gift to you. So after you finish this video, follow the link down below in the description or go to beyondtheguitar.com to check it out. All right, so let's walk you through how you can easily reharmonize a chord progression. I talk about this in depth in my Fretboard Freedom training, but a chord in its simplest form is called a triad, and it consists of 3 notes, right? The root, the third, and the fifth. Now the key to reharmonization is that you can take a melody and you can build a different chord off of each melody note, treating that melody note as either the root, the third, or the fifth of that chord. So that means you technically have 3 different chord options that you can choose between for every melody note. If I take that melody note as the root, that builds one chord. If I say it's the third, that builds another chord. If I say it's the fifth, another chord. Let's demonstrate this with a C note, for example, right? So if I take this C as the root of my chord, that could build a C major chord with the notes C as the root, E as the third, and then G as the fifth. Okay? Now, if you're confused about how I came up with those notes and what I mean by root, third, and fifth, again, that's what I cover in my Fretboard Freedom training. I cover all of that in depth. So once you finish this video, you go through that training, all of this stuff's gonna click. If I take C as my third now, that could give us an A minor chord with A as our root, C as the third now, and then E as our fifth. Okay? Or finally, we could take C as the fifth of the chord, and that would build an F major chord with F as the root, A as the third, and then now C as the fifth. So the chords C major, A minor, and F major all share the note C. And again, reharmonization is all about replacing one chord with another chord that shares the same note. So you could be arranging a piece and maybe you have the note C as your melody, and then underneath you have a C major chord as part of the original chord progression. With reharmonization, you could replace that C major chord with an A minor chord or an F major and still keep that C melody note up top. Let's demonstrate this even further, and this is really cool. A melody is always based off of a certain scale, okay? So if we take a C major scale, for example, I can build 3 different chord options off of each note of that scale, treating each note as either the root, the third, or fifth of the chord. Now, let's look at how I applied all of this to reharmonize Twinkle Twinkle Little Star like you heard at the beginning of the video. The typical chord progression that you would expect to hear under this melody would be this: C major, F major, back to C, F, C, G, C. Boring. So, from the beginning, starting with this C melody note, like we covered earlier, treating this as either the root, third, or fifth of the chord, this could work with either a C major chord, an A minor, or an F major. Now, here I like A minor because right off the bat, we've already completely changed the tone of this tune, making it a lot darker and more melancholy. And that's a big part of reharmonization, just using your ear and your own personal taste to decide which chords to use and where based on the options that we have at our disposal. All right, so the melody goes up to a G here. Now you do not have to change chords with every new melody note, even when the melody moves to a non-chord tone, but for the sake of reharmonization, let's look at what we could do here. So with a G melody note, we could build a G major chord, we could build an E minor chord, or a C major chord. Now, I'm gonna stick with the minor route here with E minor, okay? Making something that's typically happy sound sad just by changing the chord progression. Perfect example of how you can use reharmonization to create variations in your arrangements. Moving on, the melody moves up to an A here. So we could do an A minor chord, we could do F major, or we could do D minor, okay? I like F major there. Right? And hopefully you're starting to get the idea here. Now we could do a C major with a G melody note, D minor with F, A minor with E, G major with D, or you could get fancy and do an E minor and treat this D melody note as the seventh of the chord, and then end with an F major chord, melody note C. Altogether, here are both versions back to back. That actually kind of makes me care about Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which I honestly thought I would never say. You can also use reharmonization to create interesting voice leading between chords and distinctive bass lines. So I could reharmonize Twinkle Twinkle Little Star again, and this time do it in a way that creates this cool descending bass line. Like this. But hopefully this all shows you the power of reharmonization and how you can use it in your own arrangements to completely transform the sound of a theme into something new and unique. Remember, now you can go take my free training Fretboard Freedom to learn all the chord building basics that we couldn't cover in depth in this video, so that you can then go and apply all these reharmonization concepts in your own playing and arrangements. So again, link for that is down below, or you can go to beyondtheguitar.com. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button to let me know and to encourage the old YouTube algorithm to show it to more people. Doing all the things, subscribing, commenting, sharing, all of that helps so much more than you know, so it's greatly appreciated. But as always, here's to making the music you love and making it on your own terms. All right, we'll see you in the next one.